Welcome to a special edition of Headline News Update for July 14, 2025. Today was Nominations Day, and joining me in studio is our senior reporter Wendell Jeffrey as we discuss and recap the events that took place today. Wendell,
welcome. Thank you for having me here. Welcome everyone to this recap of today's nomination day. Baby, today was very telling. It was very telling today. Everything went smooth. But if everything remains as projected today, elections 2025 is going to be a very exciting, a very interesting. It's also going to be, it might be very upsetting. While it will be pleasing for some, it might be upsetting for others based on what happened today. GCOM was saying that there were 19 parties that had registered to show up today, but out of the 19, I think like only
seven submitted, yes. Those are APNU, of course PPP, AFC, ALP, that is headed by Simona Brooms, that's the Assembly for Liberty and Progress. Also, there was WIN, of course, headed by Azruddin Mohammed. Also, there was the FGM, that is headed by Amanza Walton Desir, along with two other persons that joined her party. And then there was the Horizon and Star Party. Wendell, that is one man, one man I know in the past you would have covered a press conference
Craig, Mr.
similar
Craig.
to that. Yes.
Yes.
So those
Baby,
are the
can you do
parties.
something for the viewers? Can you say out the names? I know you're using the abbreviation, but can you say the names? Because there are some persons who might be watching us that might not know the names of the parties.
Okay, so
like,
there is APNU, a Party for National Unity. There is also the PPP, People's Progressive Party. AFC, the Alliance for Change. There is ALP, Assembly for Liberty and Progress, and that is headed by Simona Brooms. There is the FGM, Forward Movement Guyana, that is headed by Amanda Walton Desir. Then there is WIN.
we invest
in Nation, that is headed by Nationhood. That is headed by Azradeen Mohammed, and there is the Horizon and Star Party. I am not sure of the individual that's heading that party. But that is the single guy.
And also, not all the parties are contesting in all the regions. Some parties, the law dictates that if you're going to qualify for registration, you have to at least compete in six of the regions.
6 of the regions,
And
that is
so
correct.
you have the larger parties are contesting in all the regions. So the incumbent, the PPP, they are contesting in all the regions. The APNU, they are contesting in all the regions. WIN,
this campaign.
or better known as T. Mohammed, they are contesting in all regions. I think that they are the only 3 who are contesting in all the regions.
Yes.
Amanzo, the Forward Guyana, I think they're contesting in 7 regions. And Ms. Brooms, Madam Brooms, Assembly for Liberty and Progress, I think they're contesting in 6 of the regions. And so I was asking a counterpart of mine, because I'm still trying to familiarize myself with all the intricacies of the elections in Guyana, and I'm understanding that a person can win the presidency even if they don't compete in all the regions. But of course, competing in all the regions gives one the ability to attract more votes.
Oh, yes.
Because it's 65 seats in the National Assembly.
Yes.
And I think the division works out to something like, they normally round it off to about 5,000 votes per seat. And so if you don't contest in all the regions, you reduce the chances of winning. So those parties who are not contesting in all the regions are probably contesting to have seats in the assembly, but not necessarily to be the presidential or to make up the government of the country.
That is correct. That is correct. Also, I know that not all the parties that submitted their list today had a prime minister.
Right. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
They said
Correct.
they do not have to present that today.
Correct. And again, I was told today that, the law does not demand or request that a team submits a prime ministerial candidate.
Yes.
So you can go to elections without announcing a prime ministerial candidate, and even after the elections, you can go ahead and announce a prime ministerial candidate.
Okay.
Yes, I was given that information, reliably informed of that only today. However, the question for a lot of persons was, they were asking persons about if they can announce who were the prime ministerial candidate. And again, except for just a few, the PPP, of course, announced their prime ministerial candidate, who will be the incumbent, retired Brigadier Mark Phillips.
Yes.
APNU.
Yes. Jurita Fernandez.
Right.
Yes.
We also had Forward Guyana announcing their prime ministerial candidate, the Reverend, I think he's from Linden.
London.
Right, right, Reverend
London,
London. But the rest are teasing, like Nigel Hughes. He's saying he's teasing this prime ministerial candidate. Win Mohammed is also teasing his prime ministerial candidate. So they're not committing.
Well, whether do you believe that they have already found that person, or do you believe that they're still eliminating?
I think it's a mixture of both. Even though my question to Nigel Hughes, when I had the opportunity to ask him a question today, was whether or not he thinks that announcing a prime ministerial candidate this late in the game cannot have a negative effect, because while a person might be more interested in the presidential candidate, if the prime ministerial candidate has some pulling power,
Correct.
that person can also be used as a selling point.
That is correct.
And so to come just weeks before the elections and not announce a prime ministerial candidate can have a negative effect. At least I think
believe it's
I think so.
concerning. Yes.
Yes.
I believe it's concerning.
Because it shows, to me, it shows that they're still in the search.
Yes.
And that could raise questions
That is what
in
it
the
appeared
mind.
to me. That is how it appeared to me today, because I think it was Wynn that said there were two persons that they were trying to figure out who they should put, but they don't seem sure on who's going to go. So I don't think at this point it's a teaser. I think more at this point it's what should they do.
Yeah.
You know, where they stand and what they should do. But JCOM has posted the list outside of JCOM's CEO's office. So you can check the list, and encoding is ongoing. So let's talk a little about what we saw with the parties today. Let's talk about what we saw with the first party that went in, that is the APNU.
Okay. There's a clip for that.
Yes.
So we can take a break to watch the clip of the entrance of the APNU.
Yes. Their leader, Aubrey Norton, he was very confident. He spoke about his party, and they're going in with so much confidence because their list is so balanced, and they're a strong party, and so they're just going there with confidence. Also, his ministerial candidate, Jurita Fernandez, she said she is ready also. She said her party is prepared, and so let's see what they had to say at the nominations day after presenting their list.
You are voting to bring an end to situations like this. When you vote on September, I want you to listen to the words of this song.
We have a white cross section. We have a lot of young people around here, and there's young businessmen saying and choose. I mentioned Terrence Cameron. Terrence Cameron. So we have what I would call a well-balanced list. A well-balanced list. It has some grassroots people as well, because we believe there is need to touch with the average person, you have the professional person, you have political experience, you have youth. And it is our sincere hope that this conversation, I can start giving you one evidence. Tell me what is really started. From the time I'm in politics, you tell me what really started. Identify. Next question.
Mr. Norton, one of the things that started off as leader of the PNCR is to ensure that we will have a voter to this and for the removal of the blind elections commission. What do you think might be the reason for you not succeeding?
Well, I don't think it's a question of success. The Elections Commission is controlled by the People's Progressive Party. And the chairman votes every time in violation of what the intent was. And so it was kind of evident very early that I played a race card. Give me one evidence of it. Tell me what is the race card I played. From the time I'm in politics, you tell me one race card that I played. Identify it. Next question.
One of the things you started off as leader of the PNCR is to ensure that you have a clean voters list and for the removal of the 9 Elections Commission. What might be the reason for you not succeeding in the
Well, I don't think it's a question of success. The Elections Commission is controlled by the People's Progressive Party. The chairman votes every time with the PPP in violation of what the intent was. And so it was kind of evident very early that they will not concede. They know full well that if they have a clean voters list and biometrics, it reduces the capacity to rig. And they have to have a mechanism to rig if they stand a chance.
But you didn't get through with your objective of getting a clean voters list and the removal of the deputy chairman.
It is not the first time in life you didn't get through with an objective.
Aubrey Norton, speaking about how confident he was. Also, he was asked about being racist and playing the race card, and he was asking the reporters,
to
tell me
prove it.
where. Yes, tell me where, which she could not answer. So,
I find though that a lot of the parties who are competing, they're making this election about change. They're pushing for change. So they're saying that whatever is happening now in the government, better needs to be done or different needs to be done. And so they're making the elections about change. And what the electorate must know is that if these parties, a combination of these parties that they have, if they were to win 51% of the votes or more, then even if the PPP gets the hog of the rest, it would take them to a 2011 situation where they form the government, but they are a minority government. So I remember that Dr. Jack Dio, in a couple of presentations, press conferences ago, he was saying that the focus of the PPP is to make sure that they get to that minimal threshold of 51%. He's saying that they expect and they're projecting that they'll get more than that. But they have to get 51% or more in order to form a majority government.
that will equate to a 33 seats?
About,
To
yeah,
a
33 minimum.
Which is what they got in the 2020 elections. And I think APNU got 31. And then there was a combination party that got yes.
that other one.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that would be interesting. So let's talk a little about the People's Progressive Party and their submission today, Wendell. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, what is so exciting about this elections is that the parties, even though they came to nomination, met all the criteria for the nomination, there are still things that all of them are holding back. So, for instance, it is likely that we're not going to see all the ministerial candidates returning for the PPP. There might be some changes, but they are not announcing that. So the only persons you know for sure who will be on the slate as candidates are the vice president, the prime minister, and the president.
But I know there were some questions, and you asked the question today
Yes.
about whether they were concerns about the prime minister not returning. And
Yes. Oh no, that the president shut that down very quick.
But we have been hearing,
Yes, that-
things of him being replaced or so on.
Yeah,
But I
the
think in
president-
Mr. Jagdio's last press conference, he said definitely retired Brigadier Mark Phillips will be returning. So let's listen in a little on what the president had to say today after submitting his list.
Secretary is here. We don't. All I would say is that our lists have continuity of people representing all segments of our population, every religion, every ethnicity, women, youth, and people who are results oriented. And we have, of course, a strong party and strong technicians backing us also.
So, just to reinforce the point made by the president, when you examine all the parties contesting the elections, you can find clear differentiation between those parties in terms of outlook, plans for the future, and performance and track record. The People's Progressive Party has a demonstrated track record of laying out well-laid, sustainable plans and implementing those. We have a track record of implementing what we promise. We have a clear vision for the future, and Guyana is excited about that vision. The vision includes all the people of our country, particularly the young people of this country.
What are the changes? Welcome back. And that was the president and the prime minister, the vice president and the president of the People's Progressive Party. We also had some comments that were not aired in the clip from current prime minister, and going into the new election cycle, the prime ministerial candidate, retired Brigadier Mark Phillips. One of the things that stood out today, Bibi, particularly with the Win Party, but as a conglomerate of the opponents, those who are trying to get into parliament and into office, was that persons think that the People's Progressive Party has not done enough for the citizenry, or they are not doing enough. And I think that the conclusion would either be that there is a messaging challenge for the PPP, or people are just in the mood for change. I don't know what you thought of that.
I believe people just want a change, because Win in particular, they have not said much. Their presidential candidate has not said much about their plans moving forward, how they're going to change. All that's being said is, we're going to bring about change. And I think the followers are about change, and it doesn't matter what the changes are, people just need a change. And PPP is just not giving them what it is they want. I don't know, but let's go back to the clip. Let's go back to PPP's clip of what took place today.
It's about performance. The PPP Civic has always put forward lists when we go to the election that demonstrate who we are, the values that we stand for. Bringing people together, youth representation, women representation, farmers, professionals, doctors. We bring together all of that. That is why we're so efficient. That is why we're results-driven, results-oriented, and that is why the PPP Civic has always achieved everything that we set ourselves to achieve. So this is a winning list, because we know that in that list we represent Guyana, in that list we represent every sector, and in that list we represent what is good for Guyana, and we're presenting what is good for Guyana.
What are the changes you made to the list of?
Well, the General Secretary is here. We don't. All I would say is that our lists have continuity of people representing all segments of our population, every religion, every ethnicity, women, youth, and people who are results oriented. And we have, of course, a strong party and strong technicians backing us also.
So, just to reinforce the point made by the president, When you examine all the parties contesting the elections, you can find clear differentiation between those parties in terms of outlook, plans for the future, and performance and track record. The People's Progressive Party has a demonstrated track record of laying out well-laid, sustainable plans and implementing those. We have a track record of implementing what we promise. We have a clear vision for the future, and Guyana is excited about that vision. The vision includes all the people of our country, particularly the young people of this country.
Any of the
On the other hand, we have our opponents. What do they have to offer the country? APNU and AFC, they have had 5 years of failed policies, broken promises, and attempting to steal the elections. And that's the least of it. They have no plan for the future, no vision for the future. Mohammed is marred in criminality. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Any of the crossovers from the PNC on the list?
So I will get to that.
Okay, good.
I'll get to that. You're trying to throw me off what I'm speaking about. So let me say that. They're really, any impartial person in this country who had to choose a political party with a clear conscience would choose the People's Progressive Party. The others are race-based, and all they talk about is race. We talk about bringing people together. You saw it in the rally yesterday, the energy. That has happened, never happened in the history of this country. Maybe in the 50s, 1950s, when this country was united. Never. The energy coming down here, the love, that's what the PPP is about, and that's a winning list. So on the list itself, we have sugar workers, we have miners, we have rice farmers, we have a lot of professionals, we have about 27 young people below 25 years old, we have a number of others below 40 years old, we have people with experience. It's almost every profession you can think about it. And look at it itself. Look at the man who is standing here before you. He is incredibly experienced and he's young. Still very young, but incredibly experienced. He has a track record of implementing things. Where is Brigadier?
I'm right
look,
here.
Look at Brigadier Mark Phillips.
Still young.
He commanded, he commanded the army. He kept our country safe. Look at the counterparts. Even forget the policy. If you're choosing just on experience. And then Norton has never managed anything.
Wendell, before the clip, we were talking about change. Persons want change, and here we see Jagdeo speaking about change. What are you were there, you spoke
yes,
with him.
Exactly. And what I think that the thing about the PPP is that they have the benefit of the incumbency, and they also have as a general secretary, arguably, one of the most formidable political minds in this country. And so if you listen to how he handled the questions, they wouldn't say how the list has changed. But then when he asked, the president and him work as a nice tag team, where they're saying that the list suggests that there is going to be continuity. But if you listen to them, you also hear that there are some changes to the list, right? So you hear that. What I want to talk a little about, though, Abibi, is the promises that the other parties are making. I listen with different hats, and I'm wondering if the promises that are being made by these other parties can really be fulfilled. You have, for instance, Aubrey Norton, Mr. Aubrey Norton, and he's promising that they're going to build homes for poor people. And they are going to charge the people low rent. And I'm wondering where they're going to get the manpower from to build all these homes that are needed. Because as it stands, the Ministry of Housing right now is engaged in building houses, and they have been engaged in doing houses under the last APNU administration. So if you're going to ramp up the building of houses, where are you getting the manpower from? You understand what I'm saying? So and then if the people have to pay a rent, if they're going to rent to own, I think that was the concept that he was using. If persons default, is the government now going to repossess the homes?
Are they going to get a refund on what they would have paid?
Right.
Things like that. So is it really realistic?
Right. So some of the things. When we went out into the crowd with Win, we went beyond the barricades and went into the seat of the excitement, and what you're hearing from those who are have pledged their support to the Win party, Mr. Ajuddin, is they admire what he has been doing. The homes he has been building, the business places he has been building, the vehicles, the wheelchairs, the motorized thing that he has been doing. And they're saying, look what this one man has been doing, you know? And if he can do this as an individual without the finances of the governmental purse, imagine what he can do when he becomes the president. And again, the question begs, is he going to be able to do that for every person? Is the government going to be able to build a house for everybody, set up everybody in a business, give everybody a car? And so those are some of the things that I question, even as I hear the promises that are being made.
But I want to ask, do you believe that Azruddin has a plan?
I think that what Azruddin is going to do is that, and it's going to happen by attrition. I don't think that he has the mechanism to run a government right now. But I think what he is dependent on, and he's probably getting facets of it happening from time to time, is that if he wins, then there will be a groundswell of support. And it is that groundswell of support who will bring the expertise and the technocratic knowledge and the governmental oversight that will be needed to effectively run the government. But as it stands, I don't think that he has assembled sufficiently the persons who can walk into government tomorrow and satisfactorily manage all the facets of government, that, you know, and all the levers of government and the different things, because it's not just managing the country locally. Is dealing with international laws and international conventions and those kind of things. And I'm not sure that Mr. Azruddin Mohammed has those things at the tip of his finger. And the other thing too is Azruddin has completely refused to answer these questions. And so when you ask him about a manifesto, when you ask him when he's going to do a press conference, you know, he's not forthcoming. It's always down the road. And so I think he's playing for time. But as politics is what it is, it's working to his benefit.
Well, let's take a look at what he had to say today. Of course, like you said, he has been evading the questions. So let's take a look at what he had to say.
You want to go to the back of the camera?
Tens of thousands of my fellow Guyanese brothers and sisters. So based on that is how we put the policies out there very shortly. Timely manner. Just be patient. We want to get over with this first.
Yeah, but what are your priority areas, if you can?
What are your priority areas to invest in the people, to uplift the lives of the people. Because every sector in this country is rotten. Every sector.
But
Yes,
how?
how are you going to go about to do that? Yeah.
We will invest in the people. 59 years, no electricity, no water, housing. Persons can't even get access to their house lots. They claim 50,000 house lots, yet thousands of persons can't even locate, can't even go to their house lots.
Prime Ministerial candidate, who is that?
Very short.
We see Tabitha Sarabu came out here today. Is she a consideration?
Maybe.
Mr. Mohammed, why should Guyanese vote for someone like yourself who has been sanctioned by the United States? And we heard about a lot of the implications for the financial sector of the country and its integration in the wider world. Why should Guyanese vote for you?
Well, remember, at the end of the day, I'm the only one looking out for the Guyanese. I'm the only one representing. So that is why the Guyanese, they believe in me and they trust me to be the leader.
You're facing serious accusations by the U.S. government, which led to those sanctions.
Right.
What can you say to people to convince them that they should still give you their vote?
Well, at the end of the day, most likely everything will be approved here. It's a sovereign.
So do you think those sanctions matter?
The sanctions matter when it comes to my businesses. Mohammed's Enterprise, Paddy's World Incorporated.
Do you think you're putting Ghana at risk?
No, sir.
Why not?
What's that?
Why you think
The government is putting Guyana at risk.
What does
You've been
that
down a
mean?
Maduro puppet. What kind of hits do you think that has taken for your campaign?
Well, you know where that came from. You know where that came from. We all know they spent close to 70 million Guyana dollars with taxpayers' money, with your money, with our money. And they sent up the messages to spread two lies. Simple. That's it.
When are you
Mr. Mohammed?
your campaign, sir?
Very soon.
How soon will you host a press conference?
Very soon.
Mr. Mohammed, is the sanctions affecting your ability to fund your party?
No, sir.
How
How are you funding the party?
I still have some of my savings that I'm using to assist my fellow brothers and sisters and for me to survive. Although the government shut down all my local businesses.
But you're a billionaire, you're not a regular man, so you have a lot to survive on.
Right.
But tell me, sir, in terms of these sanctions and even the charge you're currently facing locally, don't you think that could affect you?
No,
And
sir.
why not?
That cannot affect me.
Why?
So are you concerned about
Guyana
anything
is
like
a
an extradition
sovereign
request?
state.
People choice.
It's a sovereign state.
Oh, so you
But
still
we
believe in
integrated
the
in the global
sovereignty
financial
of
system.
Guyana?
With my businesses. With my business.
Mr. Mohammed, there's a report that you might be arrested before the elections. Are you prepared for that?
God is in charge. I don't know of that. I don't know of that.
Mr. Mohammed,
aren't you
you seem short on policy, and these elections, people want to know what's in it for
You
them.
think so?
But tell us the policies. Are you bluffing your way to the presidency?
Why would I do that?
You tell
People
me.
want to know what are your policies. I mean, that's important
What I
for the
know-
people. So we working.
My policies will better anything that
But
the
can you
government
give us
put
an
out there.
indication of
Are you going to be having a manifesto released soon?
soon?
Very short.
Very short.
And the people
But can we hear at least one of the policies you have? Because people want
people
to
are
vote
concerned.
on policy, based on policy. So why should someone vote for you?
A policy, program, initiative, anything.
So good afternoon, everyone. Let me just step in here. Team Win is much more than one person. Team Win is a team. And we're coming with a people-centered policy that will look at the people. Our interactions with the people have given us all of the issues that the people are facing, and we will look at best how to address these issues that the people are facing. We have a power pack manifesto that will be coming soon, coming very, very soon. You will have a summarized version maybe within the next week or two, and of course at the launch of the campaign, you will have the full manifesto.
But you
That is a
must, you
promise.
must give us three top things from that manifesto.
Yes,
what are the top
priorities
3
on that
areas
list?
you're going to look at?
Mr. Mohammed, in terms of Guyana's energy sector, oil and gas, what are your ideas or plans for integration in the wider Caribbean and Latin America in terms of energy security and the growth of the sector?
Sir, very shortly, we'll be addressing all these matters. We just gotta cross all these hurdles. You know the kind of victimization I'm doing. Just now, 1,000 of my supporters were left behind on the East Bank.
Why? What happened?
1,000 of them, over 80 bus load, maybe 100 bus load from Linden, coming here to support.
What role do you see Guyana, enhanced role Guyana playing in CARICOM, for instance, given its oil wealth?
Guyana is...
I would like to hear from the presidential candidate.
Yes, it's a team. We're not one person here, we're a team.
Right.
Guyana is one of the leading nations in CARICOM. We have seen great importance in the role of Guyana with regard to CARICOM, and we will continue to play that role. We are going to work to be the breadbasket of the Caribbean. We are going to be one of the major energy producers for the Caribbean, and not only for Guyana, but we want to ensure that the Guyanese people benefit first and foremost from our policies. So that's why we're telling you.
And how will you ensure that? In what ways?
Because we will be investing in the people. Most of the resources and the funds that we get from our oil resources and other resources, because we plan on diversifying the economy as much as possible, that will be given to the people.
But the economy is already diversified. To what extent will you take it beyond the current benchmark?
I would ask that question. Do you think our economy is diversified?
Yes, there is.
There is what?
There's the agricultural sector. There's no need to be routine.
No, most certainly it's not.
The agricultural sector is a strong contributor to the non-oil economy. It's in the budget.
Yes, and I'm telling
so
you
I'm
that
asking you, beyond the current benchmarks of diversification, what are WIN's plans?
WIN will throw out a full manifesto for you to see our plan, and we're going to be improving all areas. But
such
more so
as?
In agriculture, in healthcare, in education, in national security, in governance at the local level.
How? What is one thing you will do to transform the education sector? What's one thing you can tell us you will do that is not being done or has already been proposed?
Suffer the most are the persons.
So looking at that clip, Wendell, I believe that Mohammed has been evading the questions. What are your thoughts?
I think that he's very he's being groomed, and he's being groomed to his benefit. He's not saying much, but he's saying enough to where he has amassed this massive following, because he's saying just enough to attract people who are hurting. He's having a Trumpian effect on the Guyanese populace. You know, in the last election, President Trump was able to get people who has not ever voted. He got men, he got Afro-Guyanese, because of the hurt that people were experiencing in the United States at the time. And Azzuddin Mohammed has tapped into that. And he is doing it so effectively. So much so that 6 weeks out from a presidential election, we know nothing about his policies, nothing about his plans, other than the fact that he will give people houses and he's concerned about them. Now, I'm not saying that he's not going to implement some of those those charitable defaults that he has, but you can't run a country on handouts. You can't run a country on allowing people by having people satisfy their felt needs, by the government being the proprietor for people to satisfy their felt needs. And so what I'm saying is that Mr. Mohammed might well get in office and set up an agency where every day poor people can go and receive money and have pledges for persons to build houses for them. But is that a sustainable approach to governance? You understand what I'm saying? When we went into crowds today, some of the questions that the persons were asking is, can we eat roads? Because that's just one of the things you hear now, you know. We can't eat roads and stuff like that. And tell me which other politician ever built houses for people. So you're hearing that. And I'm saying that those are all well and fine. But are those things sustainable? Can the government be known as a government whose only focus is to fulfill the needs of a populace that has been hurting for so long? You see what I mean? The other thing that caused me to take a second look, you know, to stand back a little, was when I asked him if the sanctions have affected the funding of his campaign, and he said no. And I'm saying, well, the US government has shut down all his monies that he has in overseas accounts. The local banks have been warned to not do business with him. But he's saying that he has a savings account or a savings, and it is from the savings that he's able to do all of this. So no doubt he is very flush. And you know, you heard Gordon Mosley there, very seasoned reporter, say in passing,
Ask him if he was bluffing his way into the presidency.
Not only that, but he said that he's a billionaire. He said he's a billionaire. Yes, you know, so for me, Bibi, I'm just wondering if we're hearing enough from some of these presidential candidates to really objectively vote for persons who will take the country to a next level. Not only persons who are concerned about the working class and the poor among us, but simultaneously who have a plan to take us to another level. And I would really like if Mr. Mohammed would come and sit with us, or he would call a press conference and really bite down or allow us to chew down into some of these very deep and necessary questions that to me need to be answered.
Do you believe, again, I would ask, do you believe he has a plan, which we were discussing earlier? You were saying, hopefully if he gets into office, then, you know, persons may come on board to assist with that. But beforehand, what are we voting for? There are no policies, and all he says is, there's going to be a press conference soon. I'm going to meet out to the media soon. You're going to hear about my plans soon. But how soon is soon?
Yeah.
How soon is soon?
And because again, I'm thinking, I heard him say today, and I admire the young man. Eh? I admire him. I admire him. He's how you say it, charismatic, and I like that about him. I heard him say though that he's going to deal with health care, he's going to deal with education, he's going to deal with transportation, he's going to deal with housing, and I'm saying to myself, when the last administration was in, they promised that they were going to deal with all of those things, and they failed. This administration came in, and this administration is struggling to fulfill some of those very things. Now we have this vivacious and effervescent candidate saying, put me in, and I will do better than both of those seasoned parties. Where is he going to get the people from to enact these things? You know, who... You understand?
That was his promise today. He's going to do everything better.
Correct. And I'm saying because right in this studio, we interviewed the previous finance minister for the last administration, and he admitted live on television that a lot of the policies under the last administration were not implemented because of a lack of administrative know-how or know-how by way of implementation, right? So, and he said millions of dollars went back to the consolidated fund because they were not able to execute projects and plans and programs. So it is okay for someone from the outside to promise just about anything, but how do you enact it? And so what we're asking is for those who are making these promises to tell the electorate in concrete ways how you plan to enact, how you plan to implement the promises that you are making. And I'm saying that Guyana needs that, right? So I'm in nowhere knocking the candidates for promising. I like some of the things that they're promising. I mean, if somebody's going to give me $1 million a year, you understand? That's a good promise. But if you give $1 million a year, who qualifies for the $1 million? Because Guyana is 800,000 people, 2/3 of whom are above 18 years old. So who's going to get this $1 million? How many years you'll get the $1 million for? You understand? So what is the effect of that on your budget? So I'm saying, promise the $1 million. Promise to give everybody who needs a house. Promise to buy a car for everybody. But justify it. Show us with schematics. Show us with credible accounting. Bedrock things. How you gonna fund it? How you gonna sustain it? How it's gonna affect market value? How it's gonna affect prices? You understand? So I'm not saying don't promise it. Promise it. But just sit with the press, sit with us, and then find a way to explain in a rational way how you're going to make these things possible.
I hear you. I hear you. As we move along, there were 2 women-led parties today. And these women are planning to shake up the elections.
Yes.
You spoke with both. You had an opportunity to speak with both women.
Yeah.
What did they say to you?
Well, again, I am impressed. I am impressed with Madam Simona Brooms. I don't know why I just like to call her Madam Simona Broom. I think she's a warrior. I think she's authentic. I think she means well. However, I also believe that we didn't hear enough over the time since she broke ranks and came out. Maybe you can help me with this, but I'm not sure that we heard enough of how she will implement the policies that she's suggesting.
Yes, I will agree with you. With you.
And the same thing with...
We have not heard a lot, but we did hear from Amanza.
Yeah, we heard from Amanza, but again, Amanza, like Azruddin, is making promises, but you're not, at least for me, I'm not satisfied that there's enough accounting, right? It's okay to say, I want to work with women, and I want to work with the poor, and I want to work with the outlying areas of Guyana and so on. But when you monetize it, what % of the budget is it's gonna cost? You understand? Are you going to join with private with the private sector to enact your policies? You know what I mean? Some more of that needs to be sold. But again, I'm saying all of this in context. I'm saying that the average hurting Guyanese who is not benefiting from the wealth of the minerals that we have here, who are not benefiting from whatever other financial increases we have had, they are not concerned about all of those details. They are saying, let's try somebody new. We don't care. We just want something new. And I'm just wondering if that desire, without questioning the newness, if that desire alone cannot renound to a negative reality for the country. I'm just asking that question as an objective Guyanese.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of persons are asking the same questions. But in wrapping up, you have said that it was an exciting day with a lot of unexpected things happening, and elections are around the corner. What do you think we're going to expect for elections come September 1st, 2025?
Well, I think that if the incumbent doesn't get a handle on messaging, and if these new exciting parties are able to get into the fringes, that they're going to pull supporters from both, because we basically have two parties, right, or two party systems, and these new exciting effervescent parties, they can well pull sufficient votes to cause the incumbent to not win a majority. And so I think that all of them, Amanza can pull some votes. She's very articulate, and she has already announced her prime ministerial candidate. Madam Brooms has been in the trenches for years, so she's well known in Linden and where she lives there in Georgetown. Mr. Hughes, the AFC is not firing on all cylinders. If I might segue a little bit, today I did ask if he would have preferred to have been there standing side by side with Mr. Norton, and he says it is what it is. But the AFC, might be able, there might be some sleepers still, AFC supporters, and they can pull some votes. And of course, the APNU has their die-hard supporters, so for sure they're going to pull some. And so the next few days and the next few weeks and elections 2025 is going to be very exciting. I think the most exciting so far for the country.
Okay, thank you, Wendell.
You're welcome.
And that is it for this special edition of Headline News Update. Discussion and recap of Nominations Day 2025 as we look forward to elections September 1st, 2025. Thank you for joining us.
Village under quarantine. So we'll not do the optics for the optics' sake. What we're looking for are people with the spirit and the heart to forward the agenda that we have for Guyana. And that is to build a country where there is inclusivity, there is equity, and where there is a multiplicity of representation in Parliament. We are deeply concerned that for the last 60 years, we have been doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We should be farther along as a country. The winner-takes-all system that we have been subjected to does not work. And we have to change it. And that change starts with making sure that more parties are represented in the National Assembly.
Is Forward Guyana movement contesting in all regions?
We are contesting in 7 of the 10 regions. All except regions 7, 8, and 9. And of course, I was saying earlier, Nizima, that this movement is less than 21 days old. And we have been able to raise candidates in 7 out of 10 regions. And I think it speaks to the testimony. It's a testimony, rather, of just the hunger of the people of Guyana for more. And like I said earlier, we present a credible option to the people of Guyana. We're not about the optics, we're here on business, and we are here on the business of the people of Guyana. And so anyone from any ethnicity, any gender is welcome in our midst. And so, Nigel, anything you want to add?
What makes your list so different?
Because we have 67% female representation on that list. Unheard of.
Quite different.
Unheard of. Quite different.
As well as one who's differently able.
As well as two differently able on our geographic and top-up list. So, and these are people that reached out to us that said we want to be a part of this. And I think it could only all go well for democracy in Guyana. We have our concerns about GCOM and the process, and we were quite pleased with the cordial exchange that we've had today with the CEO and his staff, and we will continue to keep you apprised as this develops.
Do you have any representation for young persons?
I'm sorry.
Representation for young persons, anybody a party?
Oh, absolutely. We're mostly young people, and we have some very distinguished, very talented ageist in what I say, but we have, really anchoring us some very dedicated men and women who've served this country for decades and who have come alongside us as advisors, and you'll be seeing and hearing more from them. But 80% of the people you will see are under 50.
Do you have any financial challenges and how you plan to deal with that?
Of course we have financial challenges. Of course. We, unlike some other people, do not have billions to throw around. And so what you're seeing and what you're hearing from us is heart and spirit and the people of Guyana yearning for something different. We have had over 500 volunteers sign up in the course of 2 weeks. 500 volunteers. We didn't have to bribe them. We didn't have to pay them to put on a t-shirt. They stepped up. Last thing I want to talk about today is this culture of fear that permeates our country. We have young men and women who are wanting to be politically active, but they're stifled because they're afraid of victimization. They come out and say, oh, the PPP stay. If we vote for you, this party is going to be upset. We have to reject that. There are other countries in this world where you could be one or the other, and it does not affect your ability to earn an honest living. And in Guyana, it does. We've had people who have come to us to say, we want to get involved, but we're not part of the friends, family, and favorite, and so this is our daily bread. It could be taken from us, but we are with you in spirit. That spirit of fear, every region that we have gone to is there, and it has to be rejected by the people of Guyana. And so it's a people's movement. People have donated their time, their talent, their treasure to this, and we intend to honor that with integrity. We intend to honor that with sound policies that you'll hear more from us in the coming days. So thank you for that. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.